don't be afraid if it's the wrong decision. I said, because the worst thing you could do is not make a decision. I've always said business is about relationships and fostering those relationships. You may not get the best deal from somebody, but you know they're going to be there. We started like Tough Warrior Princesses, Cadence Crusaders, Jordan Shea Foundations, all these local charities that we support. You know, we raise about $20,000.
He spent years engineering mission-critical systems for the Navy, then built data center infrastructure for Amazon, Tesla, and many more, all while logging millions of miles in the air. Now he's turning dispensaries into community hubs. I'm Jason Raposa, host of High Functioning. After scaling tech and cannabis ventures and seeing millions in exits, I talk to operators who prove values still win. Today's guest is Rob DiFazio, CEO of CNA Stores. His family-run team hands out food, raises money for Dana-Farber and veteran causes, and spotlights a new charity every month. Rob stays hands-on, fixing equipment with staff and even pressing hash in the lab.
We get that extra kicker because we're helping each other and supporting each other. I always tell people, and I say this to my budtenders, that if you take care of your customer, they'll take care of you.
This is Purpose-Built Cannabis. Let's dive in.
I'm the owner of CNA Stores. It's a family-run business up on the North Shore. We've got 3 retail stores and a cultivation facility and manufacturing facility.
Wait a second, you've got 3 retail. I thought it was Amesbury, Haverhill,
and Dorchester.
Building
permit for Dorchester.
Fantastic. So it's not actually launched yet. The plan is to get that third store.
We had a license for 2 years.
Okay.
And we were in a legal battle with the neighbor. He didn't want cannabis in his backyard.
NIMBY. Got you. Yeah, that's classic. So when it comes to CNA, that is such an interesting choice. CNA, that must be something.
It does. We kind of came up with it's completely natural alternative is what it stands for.
Okay.
So initially, though, I'd been told that CNA in Italian is pot. So we're pot stores. Kind of played off the completely natural alternative.
Got it.
So it's kind of just having fun with it.
That's fun. So, but like, why did you even start these stores?
That's an interesting... 2017, I used to work in data centers. So I used to build data centers around the globe. I was building a data center in Amsterdam for Microsoft and doing one in Ireland as well. My son, who was a junior in college at the time, was on spring break, and he was coming over to work with me. We were going to move equipment from Amsterdam to Dublin, and then my wife's from Ireland, so there's a whole tie to this. My in-laws all live in Ireland still. So his spring break happened to be landing that Saturday, would have been St. Patrick's Day. So we went Amsterdam, moved equipment from Amsterdam to Dublin, met the equipment in Dublin, and then hung out with my nephews and uncles and
the extended family. Yeah,
extended family. Had a great weekend.
I'm sure there's generations of family, right? Yeah.
She's got, I think, like 57 cousins.
Sounds right.
There's a million. But they're just a great group of people to hang out with. But my son came over and we went to Amsterdam and we got done early. So we went downtown, saw the Anne Frank Museum, Van Gogh, and started seeing a bunch, just experiencing Amsterdam. And one night we're walking by a coffee shop and I'm like, come on, we'll go in and smoke.
The famous coffee shops.
He's 20 at the time. So, he was more enamored with the fact that he could order a drink.
Right.
Not get carded.
Right.
So then we go into the coffee shop. I'm like, wow, smoke with your dad. First time you ever smoked with your dad.
There we go.
He's like, come on, let's do it. And I'll never forget it. He went and got a Super Silver Haze pre-roll. We sat down. He lit it up, handed it to me. I had a smoke, handed it back to him. Did that like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I'm going to wait. And so he's stuck holding it. And he's nervously smoking. And he's like, Dad, I don't feel good. And he starts turning white. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, all right, let's go outside, get some fresh air. And he's 6'3", my son. So he's a tall kid. And we're sitting outside and he's kind of leaning up against the wall. And he's like, man, I'm getting lightheaded. And I'm like, all right. And then he just fainted and fell on.
You caught him though?
And I caught him and laid him on the ground. And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck was in that? Now I'm stoned. I'm paranoid.
Yeah.
I'm like, only thing I can think of is my wife is going to kill me. I just killed our son. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And so he I slap him in the face. He wakes up and he's like, oh, I just had like an anxiety attack. He's like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I spoke with you the first time. I'm like, come on, we got some water. We got in the Uber, head back to the hotel. It's about a 40-minute drive back to the hotel. About 25 minutes into it, it's dead silent. And he just starts going, ha, ha. He's like, I can't believe I passed out. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that whole night we get back to the hotel, and I'd been living over there for about 3 months. So I knew everybody at the hotel and the bar. And the waitress that was the bartender there, Theodora, comes over. She's like, hey, I thought you guys were going downtown to have dinner. Yeah, we didn't quite make it. I told her the story. She's dying laughing. So we just had a great night chatting away. And he wakes up the next morning and he's like, hey, cannabis is legal now in Massachusetts. Why don't we get into cannabis like you did in data centers? I got involved in data centers in Y2K. So I rode that, started a business, rode that all the way through to 2018 when I sold it. But I'm like, yeah, let me look into it. We'll see, And I was just kind of like, hey, it's a new and interesting thing. It just so happened, we get back stateside Monday. I get an email from one of the contractors that was my first customer when I started my other business. And he's like, hey, we're having a lunch and learn on how to build cultivation facilities. You're going to want to come in and listen to this because I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool, this is great. And I'm like, perfect timing because we just talked about it with my son.
Right.
And Ed Silver with Vantage Builders, they've done a lot of cultivation.
I know Vantage. Yeah. So, but your son was able to, like, after that, it seems almost like a traumatic moment. He was able to wake up the next day and be like, this might be...
He was fine when we got the cab.
Right.
And a half an hour later, he just, like he said, he never smoked with me before.
Yeah. He was so a bundle of nerves. And then he's sitting hitting it for the next 30 minutes by himself or whatever. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, he's like, I don't feel good.
Yeah. And I was just like, holy shit. And it was a little bit stronger than he's used to.
Yeah.
So that's the other part. He didn't... Normally over there is the spliff. So it's a tobacco and
right. It's a mix. Yeah.
But he he said, no, I don't like tobacco. I want straight. The guy's like, this stuff's strong. He's like, I'm fine. I can handle it.
Oh wow.
I had maybe 3 hits and I felt it, and he was just like, he was out of it. But again, he woke up a half an hour, 45 minutes later. He was fine, and we were laughing about it. But when I got back, I met Vantage Builders, and they were actually building a cultivation facility for Sanctuary at the time.
Okay.
Up in Littleton.
Right.
And I asked Ed, I said, is anyone looking for investors? And they're like, yeah. So I got to know the guys at Sanctuary. They were doing movable tables. And one of the things I had done when I was working for data centers, I was building one for Amazon. One of the project managers said, hey, you got to go help me do an energy assessment on this place called AeroFarms. So we went up to northern New Jersey, and AeroFarms is vertical farming. So they were doing high-end spices and herbs and selling them to the high-end restaurants.
New York City.
So local farm-to-table kind of scenario, but warehouse to table. So it was all grown indoors.
So they had these vertical grows, and you were going to do an energy assessment.
Yeah, so basically we'd go in and say, okay, the light level that they got on the plants, what's that? Is it efficient? How much power is it consuming?
And this is on behalf of Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And so what did Amazon want with that?
So Amazon had bought Whole Foods.
Right.
So it was a pivot off of that, and they used the project manager that built all their data centers in Northern Virginia. That's who I was working with. So he pulled me in, and it was just like a 1 or 2 day, assessment. But it was interesting to me, and I'm like, all right, now I know why LED lights weren't the greatest when they first came out, because their intensity was only the perfect circle in the middle of the light,
right?
Not the entire 4-foot square. So when I was talking with the AeroFarm guys, they said they had to design their own light system and set it up, and it was very similar to like I don't know if you remember the Spider-X Plus lights that came out, the bars.
I'm not huge on the cultivation side, but I get an email probably once a day from somebody asking for LED lights to buy, but like I'm not super familiar with it. I did have a home grow, and I did use an LED panel, but it was like this full spectrum light LED panels and stuff like that, whereas LEDs, as I know, is like a very pointed kind of...
It's very pointed, and that's where they were designing it to show you the maximum PPFD, right? The amount of light that you need. But it's the most perfect spot, right? There was no standard to how to do that light kind of scenario. So that basically drove me to telling, Sanctuary, hey, you need to go vertical. So they took a 30,000 square foot facility and turned it into 90 by going vertical.
Wow. So there's 3 tiers.
There's 3 tier.
So it's 3 tiers in a 30,000 square foot. And so does that like, how does the CCC calculate that?
It's on canopy.
It's based on canopy, not on square foot. Because I think there's another state like Connecticut or something like that that does it based on square foot. So you can go as high as you want.
So it's canopy by square foot.
Okay.
In Massachusetts. So it's very similar, but yeah, and I think in Connecticut you can go vertical. And it's just
You have 70 tiers up, and it'd be like, I'm only 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, and again, it's the other part of that is, how efficient is it? How can you control it?
Of course. Well, I've also heard horror stories. I mean, somebody on my team was telling me that there was a guy who, in a not well managed cultivation that had multiple tiers, he was up on the second or third tier. There was like an exposed electrical line or something like that. Got electrocuted and fell.
Yep. And that's the big issue when you get that vertical.
Yeah.
Is how do you get 20 feet in the air on a lift and be able to work on the plants? So it's not the safest, but at the end of the day, if you do it right, it will. If you have the right gear, the right harnesses, it's just a lot of people tend to want to cut corners sometimes when they don't understand what could happen until it actually happens.
Yeah.
It's got that, that phrase, you don't know what you don't know. Right?
And so back then, though, you were just looking at it as an investment, not actually participating in the market yourself as a licensed operator.
So what I found out was, hey, they could only get 3 licenses. And I'm like, well, hell, I'll go get 3. And then I said, in that way there, I could buy your product and put it in my store.
Right.
And that's how we start.
So you originally went right to the store side of it versus cultivation. Right. And so do you think that was a good move in hindsight?
Yes,
Yeah.
because you need the stores in order to survive as a cultivation facility. But 2, it also helps me with payment. And I say that because we do a lot of reciprocal deals with people.
Yeah.
Because I can actually get my money from my customers faster sometimes than I can at a dispensary.
Oh, that makes sense.
And you've probably seen it.
Yeah.
Some guys pay great, and then all of a sudden they stop. And next thing you know, they're 25 grand in the hole, and they're like, hey, can I get 90-day terms? And you're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. We've had some of those awkward conversations, definitely, where it's been more recently. I think the story is as it goes. We had a well-known and very popular multi-state craft MSO, you might say, like not crazy, not huge, but they were craft MSO, get lots of praise from the internet, from LinkedIn, etc. And so on LinkedIn, they're like, oh yeah, these are the next biggest things. And all of a sudden, when I'm sitting there, I'm like, they owe us like $30,000 from like 90 days ago. And they won't pay us, and they were done with the recip. On our end, a recip is really more of just like, hey, you've got distillate, give us distillate, because we don't have stores. So if you can send us distillate, we'll take distillate. Don't worry about it. We'll chew through it pretty quickly. But it came to the point where we're just like, we can't send you the next order. We can't. $25,000, $30,000, whatever it was in the hole. Like, we're not sending you another
Everybody
order.
thinks you're making a ton of money in this industry too. And that's the part people don't realize is that when you're manufacturing the product, you're not making money.
Yeah.
In retail, you're making money.
Yeah.
And if you're not making money in retail, then you don't know how to run a retail.
Well, I was going to ask you that next. So when you went into retail, what are the metrics you're tracking right now in retail? What are the most important things you look at on a daily basis? You wake up in the morning and you're like, I got to see the numbers.
Sell-through rate,
Okay.
your transaction counts, and SKUs.
So sell-through rate on an individual product SKU level?
Yeah.
For your own products or for other people's? Everybody's products. Okay.
And variety is king. That's one thing I got to tell anybody that asks me this, and everybody I talk to, I'm like, how many SKUs do you have? Most of them have somewhere between 300 to 400. What we realized last October was that if we bumped our SKU count up, our sales went up.
Oh, wow. The variety itself.
We're up 50% in here over last year.
That's 50% is a huge number in a dispensary when everybody else is already struggling.
Everyone's struggling to get business.
So interesting, just adding SKUs, but like, how do you manage SKUs at that point? You must have like a rock solid team at that point. Or is it like automated? Because you're an engineer.
It's not automated at all. I mean, there's still the touch points. The problem you end up having is receiving everything. And because you're trying to buy it at a 30-day cadence, you're trying to get it to the point where you have enough of it in there that doesn't fall off your menu.
Got it.
Because the big thing I realized, because I work in the stores as well. Like I was there at 420, and I love running the pre-order machine. It gives everybody else anxiety because it just dings. It's like ding, ding.
And you're just going to the vault or pulling it out of the shelf.
We're just pulling and packaging it, putting it off to the side with their ticket on it, and then they come and order it, right? And I noticed this one Lions was just selling like crazy, this one pre-roll. And then all of a sudden, it's like every order had one in it. And then all of a sudden, nothing wasn't in an order. And I'm like,
What
I
happened?
had one left in the bin. Well, the way Dutchie works is that once it goes below one, it takes it off the online menu.
So it can't pre-order anymore.
Can't pre-order it anymore, which then people don't order that. They go to something else.
Yeah.
So then I realized, I'm like, hey, if we kept it always on our menu, it will always get pre-ordered.
Yeah.
And that's what we started to pivot towards. And we split our stores up. We have a last chance bin where we put the one, because you don't want to bring two metrics out into a retail, because it just becomes an issue. But if we put it in a certain area and say the last chance bin, so our bud tenders will know, hey, I got one more of these to move out before I bring out the next 100 units or whatever.
Right.
It is, right? They could do that. But if I keep my online ordering going,
so keeping that fulfilled or plentiful in warehouse.
Exactly. That keeps it so that people can keep ordering. And that's really also how, depending on how you do run your retail store. Like if you fulfill from a vault, putting orders together, then that's less of an issue.
Well, that's one of the things that we see, because we use services like Little Alerts, for instance, and I know Hoodie's probably very similar as well, which is we'll look at the numbers and it'd be like 25, 25, 25, 25, because that's all that Dutchie has like available. And then all of a sudden it'll go from like 10 units to 25 units again. It's because they're pulling it out of the vault, out of a different, in metric terms, a different room into a new room, and all of a sudden now it becomes available again. So there's a lot of that management behind the scenes too on the inventory side.
And Little Alerts is a good general tool, and they even tell you. But you could play with the numbers too on Little Alert. We can move it to the floor and move it back.
Oh man, there's some stores where like, oh, they sold 20 units today. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Yeah. They just moved it.
They just moved it. And that's the other part of that is it's, like I said, it's a good general tool to give you an idea. But it's also, you can see what the volume is in the area, and you can see trends.
Yeah.
Because it is an aggregate, but it'll still give you a good trend.
Well, on the Little Alert side, I was looking at it a few days ago because I knew this was coming up, and I think we pegged your stores at around, I want to say, I think in aggregate, around 18 million annually. For both stores. That's about right. Okay, so Little Alerts, directionally, they always say it's not a GPS, it's a compass, right? So directionally, it's right around there. And so how much of that is Haverhill then? Because you said at 50% growth over the last year.
Haverhill's about almost $1 million.
$1 million a month. Yeah. Wow. So Haverhill's really the...
Amesbury is up to 600, 650.
Okay.
Amesbury is only 2,000 square feet. Haverhill's 9,000 square feet.
Oh, wow. Do you think the floor size matters?
It does.
Because the variety, you get to see all the products.
Yep. And what we've done is, have you been in our Haverhill store?
I have not been to that store.
You walk into the lobby and it's this typical size of a basic or, a small dispensary.
Yeah, it's just the lobby.
Yeah, it's like 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
But then you go into the back where our actual showroom floor is, it's about 3,500 square feet. Wow. So when you look at it from that standpoint, we've got 10 registers set up in there, left and right side. So it's easier to sell through. Like if we're expanding our Amesbury store by 900 square feet, so I can add 4 more registers.
Wow. Okay. So there's room to expand even in there too.
Even there, and we're being smart about how we grow, spending our money to where it actually shows a return.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So like, what was the idea behind expanding Amesbury? Was it because... Oh, it was more SKUs. Yeah. So, because I was thinking more like, your registers are already kind of like filled all the time. So you need more registers too.
We need more registers.
Oh, interesting.
So we've gone up 25% in Amesbury. We've pivoted in March once we saw the data as his SKU count changing our revenue.
Where does that growth come from?
It's an interesting concept. I think it's more the convenience than anything. Because if you look at Haverhill, there's 3 other stores in here. Right. And they pretty much sell the same products we do. Maybe ours might be easier for someone to get to. Our parking's a little better than some. Like the people in New Hampshire are going to Full Harvest Moons because they're going to drive by that to get there.
That's the first thing, right?
Or Mellow coming from Amesbury, or Merrimack coming towards us. Cannabis is becoming more of a convenience. Like you go to your liquor store or your beer store, buy your beer. You know where your beer is in the cooler.
Exactly.
You walk right to it, you grab it.
You're like,
Every
that's
once
the
in a
one.
while, you might grab something else that, oh, look, they got a special.
Yeah, my wife asked me to pick up a bottle of wine. I'm just gonna pick up a bottle of wine while I'm here, and you just like, looks good.
That's the part of it where it's like, I look at the people in Haverhill, for example, like we work with Mel. Like I help them with packaging. We Full Harvest Moons, I think we set up their first website when they first got open.
Really?
So Janet and Michelle are the owners of Full Harvest Moons. They're very good friends.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So we're kind of, I've always said we're partners of everybody in that aspect. I have a phrase I use with my team: 1 + 1 = 3. If we're going to work together as a partnership, that math has to add up. Not that I benefit more than you. It's we all benefit together so that we're better. Instead of coming to 2, it's 3. We get that extra kicker because we're helping each other and supporting each other.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, I can definitely get a sense of that because I also know that you guys obviously do a lot of the charity side as well. So there's obviously a lot of that giving component. Where did that stem from?
Just kind of what we used to do. I mean,
Just trying to do the right thing?
Yeah, before I got into cannabis, I had a successful business in data centers, and I realized the more I gave away, the more I made. And the more I helped people, the more we got to return. And it might not be value or money. It's, I helped a client over here, and now he's helped me get in over there.
Right.
Like, if you look at how we grew, we went from doing a data center for Fannie Mae in Washington, D.C. That client pulled me up to Toronto, Canada to do a data center for TD Bank, do their corporate data center. Then they pulled me into Time Warner Cable in North Carolina to do their corporate data center. And then we went to Hawaii, New York City with them, and then Tesla, their Gigafactory up in Reno, Nevada. All from people talking about us.
Yeah, they're like, call Rob. Yeah. He's gonna hook you up.
And our biggest thing at that point was they always felt they got more value than they paid for. Because I always tell people, and I say this to my bud tenders, that if you take care of your customer, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Right? And if you think about our approach, even in our stores, one of the biggest assets I have is my bud tenders. Because it's the relationships that they establish with their customers is what actually moves our product. Because they get that trust. It's kind of like when you go into that local bar that you always go to and they know your drink and it's served for you when you walk in. You walk in and like, hey, Joe, how you doing? Hey, we got a new strain in from this company that I know you like this kind, but you got to try this. This is great.
Excellent.
So you establish that relationship. But the other part of that is, like during COVID, before we were even open, we were helping people. We fed 12,000 families out of our cultivation facility.
12,000?
Was it 12 weeks? Or is it 7?
I don't remember how many weeks. It was 17,000 and there's 1,000 cases.
It's about 1,000, so it's about 17 weeks. And we had vets, disabled, just anyone who needed help. There was a box of, we had 1,000 boxes, and it was a feed a family of 2. So they could come in and grab 1, 2 boxes of many people they needed.
How was that funded?
Through the Mass Military Support Foundation, the Patriots.
So you had connections to that group's. So,
like my director of security actually runs a nonprofit called Mass Fallen Heroes, and he actually got us tied into it. We started working with them because they're in Dorchester.
Oh, okay.
And we were opening our store.
Right, exactly, naturally.
So we kind of got ourselves ingrained in the community, and right around that is when COVID hit. We went and bought. One of the ladies, Liz, down there runs a community shelter down there, and she feeds families every Thanksgiving, so she needed help with that. So Scott and Scott worked with Market Basket to put an order together for food, and we picked it up in their Chelsea store in the box truck and dropped it off at her location. And she was able to feed 200 families. That's what kind of gave us the idea of helping people during COVID, and then we kind of pivoted towards that.
And then you continued to help.
To the point, like in Haverhill and Amesbury, we do a Snow Angels program. We shovel out vets and disabled and elderly. So I've got about 25, I think, in Haverhill, and Scott's got another 25 in Amesbury. Every snowstorm, we're up. I'm in my plow truck with a shovel and shoveling.
That's amazing.
One of the things we realized just from doing the food was that if you get yourself ingrained in the community, people support you.
Right.
You look at Market Basket, right? That big kerfuffle going on there with trying to get.
There's a lot going on in
right?
Market Basket. Yeah.
But when you think about it, his employees support him,
Right.
not
They're loyal to him.
not the board.
Right.
You know, and to me, that's what makes a company successful.
Right.
Is not driven off of money, but driven off of the right things and doing the right things. We support a lot. We initially supported a lot of global initiatives, like, Last Prisoner Project, things of that nature. Not to say that they're not good, but I wanted to make an impact in our community. So then we started like Tough Warrior Princesses, Cadence Crusaders, Jordan Shea Foundations, all these local charities that we support. We raise about $20,000 a month in the charity.
That's amazing.
So you get put on our charity jars. We get tips. Instead of tips, we take charity jars. And what I did was I set up this program to where bud tenders like, oh, no, they want to tip me. I'm like, tell them to put it in the charity jar.
Yeah.
And the concept behind it was I match whatever we raise in charity jars and pay that out as a bonus in a year. So if we raise, let's just say we have $2,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or $200,000, and we had 200,000 hours worked by bud tenders, and if you worked a full time, 40 hours a week, you'd get 2,000 hours, right? So we take what we raise, divide that by the number of bud tender hours, and that comes out to $1 per hour fig.
Wow.
So you get somewhere between $2 to $3 per every hour that you worked as a bonus at the end of the year.
Wow.
So we pay that out in February. And it's usually somewhere between $2,000 to $6,000 for a bud tender, which
That's amazing.
they don't normally get that anywhere.
Right. You're not going to see that in a lot of places, especially in a retail setting. I've heard, stories where people are paying like barely above minimum wage.
Yeah, we pay right around $17 to $20 an hour, but then you throw that in. We also pay full medical, full dental. So we try and give everything to our employees. And it's because without those people, we do not have a business. We're not successful.
Right.
And if we put our efforts into making it better for them, it's going to be better for all.
Yeah, and so when it comes to like the charitable stuff, obviously there's just layer upon layer upon layer. And it sounds like when a customer comes up and is, hey, let me give you a tip, there's jars in front of it, and it's like different groups. So depending on which jar you support.
It's one jar a month. It's
Ah.
the same jar every month. Or it's the same jar.
Physically, it's the same jar, right? Different label.
Put labels on them so this month is for the Pan Mass Challenge. So I ride in the Pan Mass Challenge. And my two sons, my daughter, and my head cultivator and I are on a team called Longstrong. And we had them on the jar in March. I think we raised $22,000.
That's amazing.
But when you look at it, it's from a bud tender's standpoint, they now know about every nonprofit that we help, and they start to learn about it because it's a lot easier to ask for a donation than it is for a tip.
Right.
But people they see like Tough Warrior Princesses. I think we get every woman that's probably been associated with that organization comes to our store for stuff. And they do that because we support them and they support us.
Right, and that's where the growth is really, it's like a lot of that.
And that's the community aspect.
Right, community-driven growth. So, because otherwise they could just drive past the store and go to the next one, right?
Exactly.
And so, shout out to my team, Team Illuminati, by the way, for the PMC.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's not this year, no. I'm not sure if I'm officially retired yet, but my captain might be thinking he's retired at this point. I have not been on a bike in a couple of years. My last one was probably 2022, maybe, I think was the last one I did. When they started opening things back up, we could do the full route again without, we could sleep at on the ship and stuff like that. I slept in, I think, the dorms that year. And then that was the last.
Awesome.
No, it's hot. It's hot. Especially you're talking about, August and it's 100 degrees. So it's like 90 something degrees on a bike.
My first year, I think, was 2012 or 13, the year just down for it the first day.
Oh, right.
Oh, my God. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But as you know, riding the PMC is more about not riding a bike. It's just the whole experience.
It's a whole experience. Yeah. And so the way and for me, it's very emotional. I'm a cancer survivor myself. So like, it's very emotional because you get to certain spots and people are just cheering you on from 5 o'clock in the morning,
and
all the way through.
Spot where you need help
Yeah, they're there.
They're there.
Yeah.
That steep hill down in,
Yep.
Toro, you're like, geez, I'm never going to make it up here.
Oh, God.
Or the Bluffs.
The Bluffs.
They're
Yep.
handing out the Twizzlers, right? or even like on day one, they have a couple of sprinklers that are at the right spot.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
then you pull up to the pedal partners,
Yeah.
and you're like, Jesus, you're almost crying.
Yeah. No, my heart goes out to it because you see, they have the pictures of the kids and stuff like that have been affected by cancer, and that's why you're riding, right? It's not a race, it's a ride. But so shout out to my team Illuminati. I'm sure the Caps would probably appreciate me shouting them out. But it's community driven growth ultimately. And I feel like there's a lot of dispensary owners sometimes don't know what to do because they're like, my traffic's going down to the stores. I was at 250 people a day. Now I'm to like 150 people a day. And my basket size is going down and I've got to do all these deals and all this other stuff. Like, what do you say to those people who are like maybe in that position?
Let your customers tell you what they want on their shelves. And I say that because it's the simplest phrase that makes people think.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of stuff, like I told my buyer not to buy more, spend more. He's got a budget every month. But I said, I need it spread out more.
Yeah.
And then when we did that, guess what? We ended up having to buy more. Because of the fact that more people kept coming in and they experienced other product. But they're coming because we'll run a special every week or a deal. And we'll work with one of our vendors. And like initially, you'd have to give a case to your bud tenders to get
Staff, to try it. Yeah.
Now that you've got your product over and over again, they don't really do that much anymore.
Yeah.
But don't give me 2 free cases. Give them to me at a discount. I'll put them as a special. We'll get people to drive in just for those specials.
Got it.
The online presence becomes.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely working stuff like that out with you guys. And of course, if you are going to diversify your SKUs in your store, don't forget to include Good Vibes. Just a little plug. But so the diversity of SKUs obviously is really important. I know there's a lot of buyers who come to us and say, especially delivery operators, for instance, and they're like, hey, can you give us partial cases? Yeah. Right? Because I can't afford a full case. I mean, I could afford a full case, but it'd be like I could buy 2 cases from you. But really what I want to do is have like maybe 7 of your SKUs and just have variety instead, which we try to obviously, do as best as we can with that. We don't always have partial cases lying around, but in those cases we will actually do it.
Sometimes the odd lots.
Right? Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, hey, we had like 13 left over, so that we'll throw in a partial case. It'll be sitting there until someone's like, hey, I just need a like 13, or you know what I mean?
I want to try the flavor out.
Exactly. And so your buyer is how many? You have one buyer
For both stores.
And it's in how many SKUs? 700, 800, you said?
800.
800 SKUs for one buyer. Yep. And that person they have to automate some part of this, or no?
Jesse's awesome.
Jesse's fantastic. Yeah, Jesse's great. If you're into cannabis, entrepreneurship, or just like hearing from people who actually build things, check out High Functioning. It's real talk with founders, operators, and big thinkers. No fluff, just game. New episodes drop every Friday, and you can subscribe and listen at highfunctioning.show. All right, let's get back to the show.
He's our buyer.
Yeah.
So he's all about data-driven results. So he's constantly looking at data. And he's saying, okay, yep, this moves. And because he's like, if you look at my teams, a lot of the key people we have been with us since day one. Jesse, I think, used to work for ATG, but then he came to us when we opened our April store. And he's been with us. He started off as the assistant manager in a store, and then now he's our buyer. He's part of our sales team. I actually sometimes joke, I call him our bait. Want to get in our store? Throw Jesse. Then boom. All right. Let's see what we buy from them and do reciprocal on.
So when it comes to the employee side, what does it take to kind of like, if a person is maybe a bud tender today in your stores, do you tell them specific things like here's kind of like the track potentially to get further?
Yeah, they see it.
Yeah.
And Cassie, who was, she started as a bud tender, then she became a team lead, then an assistant manager in the store. Then she came over and worked directly for our COO and was HR inside support there on the office admin side. Now she's handling all our internal sales in our white labeling service side. So they see people growing up, like Zach Zoo, our sales guy. He was a bud tender.
Yeah. And everybody knows Zach.
And I've known Zach since he was 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's weird. If you look at our organization and how we came together, It's like I've known Zach since 10. Jesse we got because my COO is my wife's best friend. And we know her for got close to 30-something years. But her daughter's fiance is best friends with Jesse. And that's how we found Jesse. To the point where, like, my head cultivator used to go to high school with my daughter. I actually got him in the industry working for Sanctuary before he came over to one.
Right. When you were still just like maybe an investor, right?
Yeah. Like, hey, Christian, like, you really want to get into cannabis? Because I knew he smoked. I'm like, go talk to these guys.
Do you think it's still a recommended, like not recommended, but do you think there is, like, who's a good this is so many, unravels so many interesting questions from this. Because if you think about it, it's like, I've heard stories, and even I had Joe Corey on, and Joe Corey, who, has cannabisregulations.ai. He also does like some stuff for MaryMed, of course. But I was like, what would you recommend for somebody who's getting into cannabis? And he was just like, don't, kind of thing. Well, so it's hard. Or he didn't say don't, but he was like, I wouldn't do this again. I would do a different potential industry because you're playing on hard mode in cannabis.
Well, and if you ask anybody who's been in the industry for the last 5 years, they're going to say don't.
Don't.
Because it has not been fun.
Yeah.
Right. You've seen it. We've seen it. It's like, holy crap, how do I get this to where I need to?
Yeah. I get my ass handed to me daily right now.
I always say, last year I used to get kicked in the nuts every day.
Every day.
Right? And so you don't feel the pain right now, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is horrible.
End of the day, you're like, I just need a blunt or something. You're like, just knock me out. I'm done.
And then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, maybe it's every other day.
Right.
Now it's once a week.
Right.
And it's because a lot of people don't share information on how to be successful. And that's kind of where it's like, we're an open book. You want to ask me how I'm doing stuff, I tell you.
Right.
And I'll tell you the secret sauce if you want, because it's not proprietary.
Right.
It's basic retail.
Right.
Like, we just got our new CFO, our financial guy. He just came from Stride right?
There you go.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, he's completely flipped our books around to the point where we're actually making money instead of losing money. And it's like, okay. And everybody in the industry that's not in the industry is always like, oh, you guys are making a fortune. You're making a fortune.
From the outside, it looks, because you see the CCC post numbers like, hey, we're at $8 billion in sales in aggregate, of course.
Aggregate, and it's like, and look how much money we've lost.
Yeah, and look how much money went to 280E. Look how much money went to all these other things, right?
That's the other part.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, 280E is like, people don't realize you can't write off your salaries, your rents, your utilities.
Marketing, all this other stuff.
Stuff. And it's like, how do you pivot to make it so you can?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the interesting, like we're trying to create, a buyer's group, like I was telling you earlier, and it's just more or less along the lines, how do we help each other buy in bulk to get better pricing to drive our cost of goods down?
Right.
Why would we want to do that? Well, we can charge less if we have to for our customers to get it in their hands and save them money. But it's also to make us more sustainable and more viable business. We're in the wild, wild west days of, to the point where it's kind of slowing down and it's becoming more
established almost. Yeah. It's like, there are some more customers coming online. Of course, there's always going to be more customers who are going to like show up to your stores and like, I've never tried cannabis before. Give me the 101 version with your bud tenders, and they take up 30 minutes of their time, and everybody behind them's like, hey, mister, can you get out of here? But then you get the, price compression, which we should talk about in a second. But yeah, I think from my perspective, I always think about every time when I walk into a store, I'm always trying to be very careful about taking too much of their bud tenders' time, because there's usually a line of people and they're always trying to get their stuff and then get out, And
that's the interesting thing. The other thing you got to think about, right? The new customers, is every day someone started 21.
Yeah, it's true. There's always going to be new customers.
Always going to be a new customer. What we always do, and I tell my bud tenders this, is we want to have an experience when you come into our store. You'll never have to worry about a line. And I say that because everybody there takes whatever time they need to get that customer what they need. And we don't want them to feel rushed. Like, we started our Cannabar, right?
That's the deli bar?
The deli style.
Yeah.
And that was more or less so that you're not turnstiling people. They're not just coming in and you're just watching the numbers.
It's a conversation.
Yeah. It's what do you like? And Zach coined this phrase, your nose knows. Right? We used to buy weed in the black market by opening a bag and smelling it.
Right.
And be like, yeah,
that's good. I want that. It smells good. Yeah.
Same thing happens in the jars. We open up the jar, they can smell it, they can see it before they actually package it. and we weigh it out right in front of them. They can pick the buds they want. Inevitably, someone wants an eighth, you put a 4-gram nug in there, and they're like, don't break that.
They want that, yeah.
And it's just, it creates that experience.
And that's so, from a compliance perspective, I always thought that was interesting, like why people don't do that more often. Is it because it's a lot of work compliance-wise? Oh.
This is the thing, is people think it is because
Because you just read on the counter now, or whatever.
It's in jars behind you,
right?
So it's still compliant.
Yeah. But the consumer gets to smell it, though.
The consumer gets to see it and smell it. Is it a huge seller for us? No, but it's a great way to introduce a new strain. And that's how people fall in love with the new strains. But it's also, like I said, creating that experience to where you can make that connection with that person. Like when this smells like the stuff I used to buy in the 70s.
Right, exactly.
Predominantly 60, 70-year-old people coming in, they love the cannabis.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, give me that one.
They want to shop. They want to take their time. They want to look at the product, smell it.
And they don't want to feel rushed.
Right.
And that's the big thing. A lot of people, like our Amesbury store is small, and it does a great volume, but people go there because they love our team. And if you look at our 5-star reviews, it's all about our team, right?
Interesting.
And it's because they're creating that experience. And if you can create that experience with a customer, you're going to go back.
Yeah.
If it's a bad experience, they're never
coming back.
Right. And I used to be like, I was joking before, I've done everything under the sun for jobs. I worked in a bathhouse at Cranes Beach. I've been a dishwasher, a cook, run restaurants, and I've done sales. I've done data center stuff, engineering stuff, you name it. I've done everything under the sun. I've got a couple, I helped my daughter start her pizza business right next to ours.
Nice.
A convenience store I own up in Maine that I run with my best friend. It's just like, to me, it's interesting to see how I can help people build a business, right? I started my own business, and I found out I fell in love with starting a business, right? And watching it succeed.
Right.
I always say your businesses are like your kids. Right. So I have a 5-year-old kid right now that I'm trying to contain.
Right.
We went through the terrible twos. Now we're at 5 years old, and it's like, okay, how do we get it to the point where it's a mature adult? And I don't have to pay attention to it so much.
Right. Exactly.
Are
you embedded still the day-to-day all the time?
Our whole family's there. My son, he's part of our fireman crew. It's basically wherever there's something that needs to be handled or figured out,
send him in.
Figure it out.
Right.
So he's started as a bud tender, went to a team lead, did inventory, then he became an assistant manager, then a manager, then I pulled him into cultivation. He worked in propagation, he worked the night. He get the shittiest shifts because I want him to understand every aspect of our business.
Right.
I've made hash, I've done concentrates, I've done flour, I've done trimming, I've made pre-rolls. Any new piece of equipment, again, I'm right there with our team trying to figure it out.
Right. Hands on.
And it's like my wife's done deliveries, she's packaged gummies. You name it, we've done it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And it's truly a family affair when it comes down to it. Like the other night, we drove all the way out to Triple M in East Hampton from Amesbury. It's a 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah, it's far on to you.
Because we missed a delivery pickup. And I needed them to get out there, so my wife and I hopped in the van and did the delivery.
Yeah.
We got home at midnight.
Yeah.
I got up the next day. I'm in there at 7 o'clock every morning, and I'm probably the last one to leave.
And I feel like and my wife works here, by the way. She's in production right now, actually. She's bottling. So yes, I'm very familiar with the family side of this, but because we just need help, right? And she's there. She's like,
help that's going to show up.
And you're going to need help that's going to show up. But I feel like, I think it takes a certain type of person to start something, but also to have that, and it's hard to even say work ethic. It's more of like, it's almost like you can't turn off like it's hard work if you look at it from the outside, like, wow, Rob really works like a ton. It's a lot of hard work and stuff like that. But for you, it probably is just some natural thing that you just do, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point, you get to I've always said there's people you start a business with, and then there's people you end up running the business with, right? Because it takes a different mindset to start a business than it does to run one, right? When you start a business at the beginning, you need to have people that aren't afraid of change.
Right.
Right. And they're really willing to morph with you as you build that business and do whatever you need to have done. Then you eventually get to the point where you stabilize that business and your processes. Now you need the people that don't like change.
Right.
That love process and that love to do the same thing every day.
I think that's where we're kind of heading to right now ourselves, because right now I've got a lot of passionate people who are so passionate. Sometimes they get in each other's way because they're all trying to do all the things all the time. And I'm now saying to the team, like, hey, let's start standardizing some of this stuff. So if we know something specifically works, let's just nail that 100% every single time.
I always tell people, let's get it done. Figure out how to do it.
Right.
Right? I don't care about the cost. Figure out how to do it. Then we figure out how to do it efficiently. Then we start looking at how do we save money on that process.
Right, exactly.
Right? So you have those 3 steps you got to go through.
Yeah.
And iron it out. And I've always said to my team, and this is why I think we're so successful, I wouldn't say we're so successful. That's relative. Right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's you give them the ability to make decisions. And I tell them, I said, look, I want you to make a decision that you think is right for this company at the time and with the information you're given. Don't be afraid if it's the wrong decision. I said, because the worst thing you could do is not make a decision. So,
and sit on it for like a month and a half.
And then it never ends up being where you want it. Whereas if you make a decision, you find out it's wrong, great, pivot.
Yeah, there's options now.
There's options now because you've moved forward. You're constantly moving forward. And what's happening is they become more able to make decisions and quicker and better because they know where their pitfalls were before, right? But by giving them that freedom, I tell them, I said, look, no one here at our company is going to make a decision to hurt us.
It's not going to happen.
I firmly believe everybody we hired will do what's right for our business and not do it intentionally to harm us.
Right.
The ones that do, don't stay.
They don't last.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And that's why don't be afraid to make a mistake because you're going to make them.
Right.
It's called experience.
Right.
People say, oh, I got 30 years of experience. Yeah, you've seen a lot of things go wrong in 30 years.
You have.
Now you know what not to do.
Right, exactly.
And that's kind of how, I built my previous business and this one. Like, we did Google, Facebook, Time Warner Cable, TD Bank, Microsoft.
You said Tesla even, right?
Yeah, Tesla, you name it. We went everywhere from Amesbury, Massachusetts.
That's why.
I had 50 employees, and I built data centers for all these people.
And you're out of the data center business now, right?
Completely out of data center business now.
Are you happy with that decision?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we traveled nonstop.
Oh, I bet.
I'd get on a plane Sunday night, and I'd fly home Friday night.
Wow.
And sometimes I'd go for 3 weeks.
And you wouldn't see your kids or anything?
It's like when they were younger, it was great because my wife came with the kids.
That'd be nice, yeah.
It was nice. But then, they have
kids
school,
growing up.
Then they go to school.
Yeah.
They go to college.
Like you're saying your son was 20, I think, in Amsterdam or something like that, right? So I think about that because I also think, because I come from computer science, a computer science background, and I get really excited about AI and stuff like that, of course. And the data centers that are being built now are kind of insane.
Insane. I have actually a couple of my old employees trying to pull me back into it.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they're building.
You have all the experience.
Well,
you have a ton of experience, and you know what not to do. You just said that.
Like, look, we have a 500 megawatt data center we're building, and needs to be done in 6 months. I need someone who knows how to organize all that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, holy crap. Like when I started in the industry, 2 megawatt data center was considered cheap.
Yeah.
That was in 2007. Here we are 20 years later, and it's 500 megawatts. And by the way, we just bought all the equipment before we even inked the deal. So it's sitting in cut, and it's not like it's
inventory. It's there.
Like my friend Aaron's out in Indonesia, and he's in Kuala Lumpur, and he's building one of the largest data centers for Alibaba.
Yep.
And it's just like crazy how it's exploding.
Yeah. And I'm also seeing all the reports for all the energy consumption, energy needs. And it's just like, I think China just announced they're going to make the largest ever hydro plant in China.
They're doing nuclear power now.
Everybody's talking nuclear again. Yeah.
That's because it's
all the data centers need to be powered.
Power, and you need lots of it. And the size of it is a lot smaller from a production standpoint, square footage wise.
Yeah.
Nuclear power plant, like on the subs, like I was in the Navy before this. And, we ran nuclear reactors, and the reactor was probably about the size of this area right here, and it ran a whole submarine.
Just this size?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not that big.
Wow. Because it's so concentrated. You just have to, it's mostly probably just the safety side of it that has to be, it's all the protection.
Exactly. It's, the thickness of the lead, the water, all that stuff. So the worst thing about nuclear power, though, is when you realize there's a problem, that usually you're showing signs of radiation poisoning, and you're already dead. So you can't tell
That's the risk.
A real bad incident until you're actually showing signs, which is your body dying.
Basically, wow, that's
It's just a different concept.
Yeah.
That's where it's more scary because of that fact. It's like electricity. You can see the wire, bare copper. If you touch it, you're going to get zapped.
right.
You just don't touch it.
Right, exactly.
But you can't see the energy going through that.
And the radiation.
But with radiation, it's like you don't even need to touch it. You just need
In
to hear it.
Yeah, it's in you. That's amazing. So, like, do you have to ever pull that card out in your team? Be like, hey, I'm the nuclear. I've been on nuclear subs, been Navy, and so you're gonna do what I say, anyways.
I say I'm the boss. You got to do what I say.
What does the leadership team actually look like? So, obviously, how many layers are you between maybe you and like a bud tender, or is it fairly flat?
It's fairly flat. I mean,
Yeah.
I work side by side with bud tenders.
Right.
So I always look at us as an upside down triangle, right? Normally it's a triangle
Right.
with the CEO at the top,
Right.
at the bottom.
Right.
And I say that because the people that work for me, I do what I can to clear their paths and make their jobs easier so they can do their job.
Yeah, it's beautifully said.
And then we just kind of keep doing that all the way up to the point where you got bud tenders. So
Yeah.
if you think about it, you've got a bud tender. It works for the manager of the store. The manager works for for our general manager. Then that'll be my CEO, and then so if you think about it, there are 5 people away. But like I said, I'll go in and check IDs. I'll pop in the store. If they're busy, I'll hop behind the counter and start doing sales. To the point where, like, packaging, like last week, I was weighing boxes to manifest them to get them out. I did the delivery.
So you said something super interesting there. First of all, I feel like I'm talking to a kindred spirit because so when we get machine equipment delivered, I'm right there trying to figure it out. I'm the engineering guy. So I'm trying to figure it out, like, all right, how do we do this? And sometimes I just have to walk away because the team's got it. And I'm like, I'm just going to get in the way if I'm kind of hanging out too long. But I'm very hands-on as much as I can be because I just love that problem solving. It just gets me fired up, right? But what you just said there was interesting, which is CEO. So you're not the CEO. You are. Okay, CEO owner then. Okay. I thought you had you had hired a CEO though. Okay.
I have a CFO.
A CFO.
The finance guy.
And that's the guy from Stride, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting because I actually, a staff accountant we just hired came from pharmacies, so CVS and Walgreens and stuff like that, outside of the industry, but also in the industry now. Yeah, retail. It's retail.
The thing is the retail component.
Yeah.
That's the other part is if you think about bud tenders, you do have a lot of turnover in the stores because you get a lot of people that get excited they're selling weed, and then they realize
They don't-
it's just retail.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it that it's just retail. If you don't have a passion for our product and want to learn it, it's hard to be a bud tender
Yeah.
in that process.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's cool at first, but then it's like, hey, I'm working 8-hour shifts.
The shifts.
Standing on my feet, talking to people all day long.
Yeah.
Which some people really like and
Mhm.
some people don't. We had a bunch of nurses after COVID come work for us, and they're like, this is great.
Helping patients in a sense.
helping
Yeah.
people, and it's not as morbid as it was during COVID.
Right.
But then they realize, hey, you know what? I can't make as much money as I can work a 12-hour shift as a nurse and make probably what I make in a week.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah. Makes sense.
So then they move or they pivot or people move jobs. It's just like retail. It's
Mhm.
always going to cycle people through. But finding the people that are good at it and keeping them happy and doing things for them.
Are you part of the interviewing process?
I am on some people, yeah.
How about the bud tender side?
No, I do not.
But you must have at some point hired bud tenders yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What were the indications? And are those people still with you?
Yeah, they're Jesse, Zach.
But they had
Scott.
that career path, right? So it's like, as a bud tender, like you said, there's turnover. It's retail. You have to really like retail in order to be there for long term. Like when you're looking at bud tenders, there's specific attributes that stand out more than others.
Personality.
Like outgoing, you mean, or
Just somebody that you connect with and that actually is easy to talk to. And they got, like I said, they have to have a passion for the product, right? They have to like what they're doing. And, there are some, like, if you're going to do inventory, you need to be organized.
yeah,
Right? So
makes
that's
sense.
what you look for,
Yeah.
Because they're constantly receiving, moving stuff and metrics.
They have to be able to see all the things coming in and keep them and not mess them up and juggle all the balls, basically.
A bartender needs to be personal. You're hiring like a bartender.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's kind of how I look at it. They need to be interact with a bunch of different people. They need to know how to handle situations, right? So to me, that's why I say personality is key. And trust me, we've got a lot of different personalities in our store.
I bet.
But they all need to get along with each other. Right?
Yeah.
And if we create that experience, I call it the safe space, to where they can actually say what's bothering them. Because one of the things I've found is that people will fester on things forever.
Yep.
If they don't address them. And then that becomes a cancer.
It affects other things.
It spreads, right? And then you have this mass exodus thinking, oh, they're going to kill us. We're killing by leaving all at once. We're all pissed off because of something.
Yeah.
And it's like, why were you pissed off about that?
Right.
All you do is ask.
Right.
You know, like,
Well, I think a lot of people will hold it internally.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they'll
they
just
create
stew.
silos and
Yeah.
pitting one versus the other. And it's like, look, we're all the same team.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I try and put myself in the store as much as I can, because I want them to realize that you're working with the owner of the company and that it's important.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an attribute you could qualify during an interview process that would kind of isolate the people who maybe are more like that. And you'd be like, okay, they're showing signs of holding on to something, infecting the rest of the...
It's very hard.
Yeah, that's so hard.
Process. So you've probably gone through this. You've hired people, you're like, this guy's got to be a home run.
Yeah.
And then you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
We had one guy that was super enthusiastic. I'm like, and I told the team, I was like, you can't train enthusiasm.
No.
You have it or you don't. Person is super enthusiastic and then proceeded to like never, I don't think he completed a full week of work. He got at least one day off because of something happening. And again, there's a lot of things going on in people's lives. I'm not kind of saying that's a bad thing. I'm more of just saying like, we thought he was the guy and it turned out it wasn't right for, it wasn't a good fit.
And that's the other part. Like we've tried, we've hired a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that, my wife says, don't, we shouldn't be doing it anymore.
Right.
Because it becomes too hard when they don't work out.
Right.
And I'm like, as long as we're honest with people, as we bring them on and look, this is the job, and we paint an ugly picture for them, and they still come, let them try it. Let them have the experience. I've got my cousin's two boys working for me in cultivation. One of my best friend's nephew works for me.
Nice.
You know? And it's just like, they work out, great. If they don't, no harm, no foul.
Right.
We'll see you later.
Well, I think it comes a lot down to management, right? So I think the way I've heard it said best is managers have to be really good at uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. That's what it is. It's like if you're avoiding uncomfortable conversations, it's just going to stew inside the person and all of a sudden it's going to be a huge explosion 3 months later. Whereas if you have those upfront, honest conversations, you can get ahead of it.
I had that same conversation with my son yesterday when we were driving down. We were going to a meeting down in Midway or Millbury or wherever we went. But we were talking about how he started and where he kind of ended up. And he's like, I remember when I was the assistant manager at the store, and he's like, I had this guy that annoyed me for like 3 months. And he's like, I finally said, this really bothers me. And the guy's like, oh, why didn't you tell me 3 months ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do it this way.
Yeah.
And then did it that way. Now he's a great employee. And I'm like, see, you address the issue as soon as you see it. It's not an issue.
Right, exactly.
Hey, this is how we do it. Hey, I noticed you're not doing this the right way. And it's your approach.
Right, exactly.
Skill that you got to learn. And that's the one thing, like if you look at my managers in Haverhill and Amesbury, they've been with me for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through they call it the mass exodus. Is like every 6 months, we'd have one of the stores would have a kerfuffle and someone would get mad and leave.
And would that be all internal politics side on their end? Because I've also heard of stories about like actual things happening in stores from like customers' perspectives, customers getting in people's faces and all kinds of weird stuff or whatever.
Robbed.
You got robbed?
At gunpoint.
At gunpoint?
The first in the state, just to say.
Well, there's an award I'm sure the CCC will award you.
Yeah, no. Actually, it was actually pretty interesting.
What happened?
In Haverhill, we'd been open for about 6 months, and a guy came in. He sat out in our parking lot, smoking a cigarette underneath our camera, and then he put his COVID mask on, came in, and put the gun to our guy at the security at the front, said, I want all your money. And he kind of like,
I'm the security guard. I don't have money.
Security money's up back. And the guy then came in and went into our showroom. And it was like, holy crap. He didn't realize he'd never been in before. He never cased the joint. But he came in and looked. It was like, and Jesse actually hit the panic button. So the cops got notified. He went to one of our bud tenders, Chelsea. She's a great person. She's no longer in the industry, and I don't think that might have had something to do with it.
I bet.
But when you look at it from that standpoint, she gave him the money that he asked for, and then he's like, give me the stuff on the top shelf. It just so happened to be a waffle cone from Solar Therapeutics. He grabbed an eighth of that, ran out the door. He ran down the side of our building, changed out of his clothes right underneath one of our...
Cameras are everywhere.
Got his tattoos, got everything. He pulled off his sweatpants. He had a Sherman-Williams painter shirt on, took that off, was now in a tank top. He even brought flip-flops and swapped into flip-flops and shorts and started walking across the back parking lot with the neighbor next to us. And then he realized he left the money in his sweatpants, went back and got the money. So by the time he was almost out the back of the parking lot, the cops came into our front door. And it was amazing. The Essex County Sheriff's Department was there with their dog unit, just so happened to be in Haverhill. They showed right up. The Haverhill police showed up. Within about half an hour, we caught them back.
Wow.
And it was just, we closed the store that day. We had all the TV news people coming out wanting to talk to us. Our bank called us and said, hey, look, we have grief counselors that will offer up for your bud tenders. This happens in the bank. This is what we do. And
Yeah.
great. We brought all these, counselors in, and Chelsea's dad at the time, not at the time, he used to work for us as well. He was a prison guard. So he handled all those crisis moments in prison guards. So he came down and did training with everybody, psychologists and things of that nature, come down to talk to people. But it was amazing how our sales went up 20%, literally the next month.
Interesting.
We made the news.
Yeah, press.
People learned we were a veteran-owned business. The community of Haverhill just came out supporting us. So it's kind of interesting when you think about how we do that stuff for the community.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what comes back and brings that business is being ingrained in that community and doing the right thing, right? But when bad things happen, I always tell people, be ready, something good's coming.
Right.
Because you're never going to get hit with multiple bad things.
Yeah.
Now, if you'd asked me that last year, I would have said, yeah, maybe eventually something good will happen because I'm getting a lot of bad stuff. But
Yeah.
again, it's just to the point where, you lean on each other. And if you've got the right team, it's a lot easier to carry something with 10 people than it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you get too many people. Like you were saying before about everybody wanting to help. You got to get in your own swim lanes, right?
You have to stay in your swim lanes. Yeah.
And you got to focus on that and become really good at that.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes easy. Then you figure out how to make it better.
Yeah. I've been trying my best to kind of isolate like the one thing, especially on the manager level, like you are responsible for this. Like our sales team, top line revenue growth. Whatever else is on your to-do list, if it doesn't have anything to do with top line revenue growth, drop it. You know what I mean? Yep. Same thing with the marketing team. It's like sell through. How do we get more products off the shelves as fast as you can?
How do we get eyes on it? Right?
Exactly.
And that's the other thing you got to look at, search engine optimization and things of that nature. Like we actually had one of the stores that opened near us actually used our name as their search engine.
That's a tactic.
And it's just like, you got to be kidding. People put orders in at their store, coming at us and yelling at us because we didn't have
That's amazing.
And I'm like, so we said to cease and desist it.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, stop using our name.
Yeah.
Stop jumping on us.
Yeah, that's definitely on the gray side of the tactics, the SEO tactics. I did SEO for quite a long time, and I know that's definitely a thing.
Dealerships used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And again, it's hey, great. To me, that's not ethical.
Yeah.
So we didn't do that. We fought back. I said, hey, stop.
Right. They're
like, oh, it wasn't me. It was my algorithm did it. Like,
right.
no, you actually deployed the algorithm, so it is you.
Right, exactly.
Whether or not you knew what it was going to do is irrelevant.
Right.
You're doing it, stop.
So what about, so you were saying how getting kicked in the nuts, obviously you had mentioned before, and also just like you didn't think there'd be like potentially a good day. What was driving a lot of that? Was it the price compression or was it like something else?
Price compression, not knowing what you don't know.
The unknown, right?
Trying to do speed at which you're doing stuff, having the right people, having the right experienced people in the right areas, a lot of different things, to the point like one day I realized I was talking to one of my investors. We were going to play golf. We were in an indoor winter league kind of thing, and so every Wednesday we kind of play golf and talk, and I tell him how we're doing and tell the problems. And he just so happened to be the partner of mine for my old business, the data center business. And he said, you just need to grow more weed. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't sell it. He's like, you're missing my point. There's 3 things in your facility that don't change, whether you grow 1 pound or 1,000 pounds. That's depreciation, rent, and our bank note. I got to pay those the same amount every month.
Fixed.
It's fixed.
Yeah.
So if I grow 400 pounds, it costs me $800 a pound to grow. If I grow 800 pounds, guess what? It's going to be like 600 pounds.
Right.
Because it keeps
The fixed
dropping.
costs, right, are
So
never
that's
changing.
where holy crap, because we were growing at 4 rooms, so now I grow at 8. I'm not growing in every tier. I have a 2-tier facility, so we're just growing in the first tier because it's easier to manage.
Right.
But now what I do is I have more harvest. I have a harvest every week. Now everybody becomes more efficient, smaller. So I have a smaller team to be able to manage that. So when we're ready to scale up, it's just plugging someone in to learn from someone who's been doing it. It gives you that speed to kind of
I bet the customers really appreciate that too, because you probably have fresh flower constantly.
Yeah.
A weekly harvest.
We will buy, like we buy from other people as well and then repackage. And there's a benefit to that because then I don't have to grow it.
Right.
You buy it for less. And usually what happens is someone will sell us, like product that's over 90 days old. No one wants to sell it. I'm like, I don't care. I'll sell it in my store. I'll put it on. I buy it for a great price. I
Give the
send that
great price
to
to the customer.
And that's our budget item that brings people in the store.
Right.
And
So there's other marketing tactics like that you still employ. So on the press compression side though, so knowing that, like, do you feel press compression is kind of like we're back going on the upswing?
I actually think it's bottomed out.
It's bottomed out.
Not to say that it can't go lower, but the only way it's going to get lower is more economies of scale and becoming efficient. But it's not going to be like it did. It went from $25 wholesale an eighth down to $10.
Yeah.
It's like, look, right now everybody's holding true with pricing. It's usually around $20, $25 to $35 to $45 an eighth, depending on, I call it the good, better, best type stuff.
Right.
Like you start seeing that as people become or go out of business, you're not having people with fire sales.
Yeah, no, definitely see that. I remember seeing, like, when True Leaf left, like, Holyoke, their cultivation, I got a spreadsheet of all their stuff, and I'm like, it was pennies. It was and all the equipment and everything. It was just a fire sale.
We just, like Ocean Breeze went out of business, their cultivation site, and I can feel bad for them. They're a great family, great group of people. I just bought a bunch of their equipment. I got their precision batcher for literally 25 cents on the dollar. Wow. So I could package 1,000/8 an hour. So it's like our extraction system that we bought last year, I got for $50,000. That's normally $500,000. And I got
you're killing me.
Guy out in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, like we're getting our hash washing system now for $20,000. That's normally $70,000.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like just taking advantage of situations.
Exactly. These things are happening across the country even. So you said even Michigan, your extraction equipment is coming from.
Yeah.
So
that was a CBD guy that went out of business.
Right.
And I just happened to call the guy at the right time. He said, look, if you come out Friday and buy it, he's like, I'll give you a great price. I'm like, what's a great price? I'm coming from Massachusetts. You'll get a good price. So then I show up and he's like $55,000 we paid. That included the chillers, the equipment, everything we needed to run it. And he's just like, yeah, the guy's already paid for 60% of it. He's like, so you're my profit.
Oh, interesting.
I need to get this out of my warehouse.
Yeah, it's a big piece of equipment. Get it out of here.
And so, again, it's just hitting the market at the right time, finding the right deals, pivoting. Like we changed our packaging costs. We've been able to reduce those significantly, which, 50 cents on a unit is really $1 to the customer. That's how I'm looking.
So what we do is we measure based, our measurements are really around distillate. Price per gram, right? So we're always thinking, when we first got into the market, it was $17.50 a gram.
Yeah.
Right? So that was 2022, early days, early 2022. Then before that, I was actually getting quotes closer to $40 a gram or something crazy. It was like 2021.
I was all excited when we first got our manufacturing license. We bought a thing of distillate for $6,000. I was like, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, exactly.
A liter of it, and just so we could get our finalized license.
Right. So, and eventually, I think in the lows of the low, we were paying upwards of or downwards of, I think we got as low as $2.50 a gram maybe at some point, and now it's back around like $5 a gram for us.
And that's what we saw. We saw it bounce,
Yeah.
and it's come back up. And it depends on whether you want vape grade. Now, it's funny because some people, if it's too clear, they don't want it.
Why do you think that is? A perception of
Here's the thing with this: when it becomes really clear, and it oxidizes any bit, it shows really quick.
Oh, interesting. And oxidation will probably cause it to turn like a brown color.
Well, when you call it the red,
Oh, red.
and it makes it look pink when it's that clear. But if it's a golden color, you don't notice.
Okay.
So that's kind of where you gotta get it clear, but not too clear.
And do you feel like how do you, when you get it clear, is that like CRC stuff? Like the color remediation side of it?
No, it's not. It's actually your distillation process.
Oh, so are you blasting it in like 98% THC and that's how it gets clear then? Or is it like something else?
So if you think about the process, you blast it through BHO, right?
Yeah.
You come out with the BHO oil.
Right.
And that's what you then, in order to make a vape grade, you got to de-wax it,
Winterize it.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we do is we dissolve that in ethanol, and then we freeze it, and then we filter that, pulls all the wax out.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
then you got to distill it.
Right. Then you got to go through the distillation process.
The distillation process is a way to clean it up or change the color of it.
That's interesting.
Evaporator is another way to do that.
Right.
You can clean it up that way.
But if you clean it up too much, just a little bit of oxidation turns it pink. Wow. I didn't know that.
I didn't either until we actually started seeing it. We're like, why is that pink? It's 'cause
You did too good of a job.
yeah, it's like, and then it's like, all right, that's too clear because it'll show,
Right.
right? And like if our concentrate brand is clear gold, right? Concentrate. So it's like we want it to be
Clear.
golden color, but we want it
Get gold.
clear.
Yeah.
The other part of that is if you fill a vape cart with that really nice distillate, it's clear. They're gonna be like, is this full?
Right. Because it looks like water. Yeah. You can't even tell.
Water. So there is somewhat of a perception to some degree.
Mhm.
I always think of it like vodka, rye. They're gonna have their colors.
Exactly.
But there are certain points where, yeah, you want it to be that nice golden color.
So do you guys are you always in product development cycles? Like, are you always trying to?
We stopped.
Okay.
I say that from the standpoint of you can go crazy in product development and waste a lot of money.
Right. That's true.
What we're trying to do is establish our brand so that it stays and it's consistent, right? Because that's the key. We've got, our Claravita line is flour. It's also edibles. Tumble and Toke is flour and edibles. So
Are there levels to that? Yeah.
TNT, it's the smoke that'll blow your mind. That's what we said, right? And it's the low testing, high terps, good flour. So we have a lot of old school strains like Panama Red, Flamenco, Acapulco that aren't high testers.
They're not 30%. Yeah.
30%ers, but you know what? They're really good smokes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why we came up with TNT. Claravita is like our better line. And then next year we'll be coming out with 1776, which is our premium line.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be on the 250th anniversary cup scenario.
That's right. It's coming up.
All based around Bunker Hill Lodge. So it's a Boston-based brand.
That's awesome.
Smoke until you can't see the whites in their eyes.
Basically, the 250 anniversary is coming up next year, 2026.
So if you think about it, that's kind of where, all right, that'll be in a glass jar. More premium type product, 30 plus testers that we have in our strains. But it's to hit every SKU.
Right. There's every price point for everybody, right?
Exactly. So like on our Tumble and Toke ones, they're distillate. Claravita, they're rosin. So there's a different price point for that because it costs more to do rosin.
Absolutely.
Right? But we're doing rosin as well as, concentrate. So we're doing live resin and rosin and cured resin.
What do you think about the weedy taste in gummies?
I love it.
I love the taste of weed. Don't get me wrong. I love the taste of weed. But when we hear feedback sometimes, oh, it's too weedy or something like that. Do you guys field those sometimes?
So that's I've always looked at it as a different market you're hitting.
Right. Well, because distillate gummies, you're like, it's mostly clean tasting. But if you do like live rosin or something like that,
you're going to have the weed.
Yeah.
So if you think about our live rosin ones, they're double gummy. What I mean by that, it's one gummy with a line in it.
Right.
2 servings.
Breakable.
It's 10 milligrams.
Yeah.
Right. So you get like a candy bar.
Yep.
But it's weedy tasting. So guys are buying those ones, want the full experience.
Yeah.
And they usually are higher dose.
Right.
So from that
So the 10 mig makes more sense in that case. Yeah.
Then you go into the TNT where it's just a distillate gummy.
Five
It's all
mix.
based on flavor
Yeah.
and trying to hit the right flavor that people like.
Right.
You know, like we make our apple cider gummy.
Oh,
gummies.
fun.
So you've got a couple of those in the bag there.
Excellent.
But we actually buy cider from Cider Hill Farms at the streets.
Fun.
You know, apple orchard. Boil it down and use that as our concentrate.
So you're talking about like flavor driving profiles for TNT, and then Claravita is more like the pure plant side of it. Do you still flavor those though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they have all the same flavors, just you have tasting them.
Where the weedy test is in there.
The Claravita ones will have the minor cannabinoids as well.
Oh,
CBD,
fun.
and CDA.
And so out of like a percentage of sales, like what is it like half and half in your stores, or actually because you're also wholesaling it too, so like what's the...
So about 30% of our stores is our product.
Okay.
70% is other people.
But on the TNT versus Claravita line, like are people going for the live rosin over the distillate more often, or
Because of price.
price
So it's
probably?
more
Yeah.
of a volume play there
Right.
than it is the...
Well, we're still coming off the bouncing of the bottom of the price compression, so I can imagine those are still very popular.
Yeah, and our Claravita line's been out longer than our TNT. So that's
makes
our
sense.
MREs, marijuana ready.
MREs.
So we're military based.
Military, yeah.
So kind of we try and work that in, like our Freedom flares are infused pre-rolls, right? They look like the old sparkler cases with the flag on.
Okay.
So we kind of have fun as we do this, but you know, there's always a little, I call it a Easter egg or hidden meaning somewhere, anywhere that you'll see, like even our shirts and things of that nature, like the Tumble and Toke brand. If you look, it's got this little crown.
Yeah.
It's the same one as this crown here in our logo. That kind of works its way in everywhere.
What's your go-to right now out of your products?
My Lullaby Lights for the Claravita gummies.
Claravita gummies. Lullaby is a CBN, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Zoobed Ups. So Zoob, our sales guy.
Okay.
You'll see him on the photo.
Oh, fun.
So he's our model.
Yeah, he is.
But and you've met him. He's
Yeah,
a ball of energy, right?
Oh yeah. No, half my team knows who he is. So I'm like, yep.
So he's our sativa gummy, right?
Oh, nice.
But like our Trop Cherry, that's my best flower that I like to smoke because it's not heavy hitting.
Is that TNT or Claravita?
That usually falls under Claravita.
Okay.
And then like our Acapulco Gold is always our best seller. We got a lot of new genetics coming out. We've started a pheno hunt. We've got over 125 different phenos.
So on the manufacturing producer side, that's kind of paused as far as product development. Now you're more focused on the phenotype hunting.
Phenotype and driving quality. If you look at our facility, if you ever come up, I'll show you.
I will.
We've got water-cooled LED lights. I can control the white, the blue, the red, and far infrared light spectrums. We use UVB lights to try and drive up the terps and THC. We collect all our own condensate, treat it, and resend it back in.
Wow. You are an engineer.
Yeah. It's amazing when you look at our, like, if I have two pumps, if I need two pumps for capacity, I have three.
Right.
You know, so there's
To fail over.
built in,
Fail over, yeah.
built in. There's, you know, like we have our air handlers inside our space, not external, because ductwork leaks. Helps us control the odor, but it also helps pests and control that way. So the air handlers aren't in the room physically. They're on a mezzanine outside the room. So when we work on them, they're not in the room working on them.
Right, exactly.
I've got two per room, and I only need one to handle what we have in the room. Wow. So it gets us more efficient because now we're running our fans at a lower speed, which saves money. Everything was driven around efficiency.
Right. See, even with that efficiency, I think the redundancy is where I kind of get trapped sometimes in my own kind of development of our product lines or our equipment and stuff like that. Because did you put all that in on day one when you started? Did you ever look back and be like, man, I regretted spending all that money on that stuff because,
Niall and I had this conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was like, if I knew what I knew now, I would have built half of what I built. Reason being is I would have got up faster.
Yep.
I would have got everything going.
You would have stuck in that dollars in faster.
I would have actually started making money on the cultivation facility when the prices were a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Which would allow me to pay it back, and then I wouldn't have a bank note.
Right.
So I would have self-funded that piece.
Right.
You know,
and you could have built in redundancies afterwards.
We could have built in. We had the phasing. We could have just phased it in.
Right.
You know, but we were like, no, we need to get in, and it just, the CCC holding you up, COVID hitting us right in the middle of it all, Like, I bought chillers in November of 2019. They didn't show up until September 2021, or sorry, January 2021.
Yep.
You know, you're talking 2.5 years later when there was supposed to be a 8-week lead time at that.
Right. Yeah, the whole world shut down.
The whole world shut down.
Yeah.
The only thing that we did that actually really helped us is I bought all the fans from the air handlers and got them delivered to the manufacturer so that they didn't get
At least they're onshore.
and they were able to actually manufacture.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things. It's supply chain is obviously something that you're really tuned into now because you've got this whole buying power group.
And that's the other part of that is timing your packaging, having to spend 3 months on packaging, and then all of a sudden you realize this packaging stinks.
Yeah.
It's drying out our weed. This isn't what they said. Or like the first packaging company we went with said, oh, yes, it's U.S. made. Great, we'll buy it from you. And then they hit us with a tariff that came from Europe because they shipped it in from Europe, which I think they made it. China moved it to Europe and then sent it to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, you never once talked to us about tariffs or having to pay that.
Right.
Why would I have to pay it if you're making it here?
Dude, I had so many crazy conversations. I've even had calls with customs and stuff like that because we bought a piece of equipment from China. We're like, all right, it's going to be here. It's going to revolutionize our lives. Like, this is going to crush it. All of a sudden, it's import in New York. And they're just like, hey, we're not releasing this. I'm like, what's going on? And I had this long conversation. I was calling literally the government to be like, can you give me my package yet? So I had to involve some other people just to like facilitate that conversation because I'm like, I don't speak their language probably. There's a whole different language that they speak.
We have a person in country over there that is on our payroll, and they do all our buying.
And I don't even mean Mandarin. I mean like the language of customs. Like actually talking to the people from the government to be like, hey, like I don't know the terms. You know what I mean? Be able to actually get my point across. Be like, just release the thing. I don't understand. Like, they're like, well, you stated value and like all this other stuff, and because they were worried about the value. Because it's funny because, you know, now that tariffs are becoming bigger news. I'm going to share a little bit of these stories, but the one time when we go to buy this piece of equipment is like our first ever purchase on our own without using like a fixer. I went directly to like a manufacturer in China, and they were literally like, well, what do you want us to put on the label? I go, what do you mean? I mean, well, it costs you, I don't know how much, it was like $5,000 or something like that. Do you want to spend like, you know, $1,000 because you have to pay, you know, tariffs on these things? And I go, well, I don't want to, no, it's 5,000. Like, just put it on there. And even after all that, I was like, no, put it the real value. They still held it up because they're like, we're not sure if this is the real value of the thing. And I'm like,
Because they have people do that all the time.
yeah, well, they find people who are always doing these things, and they're like,
An expediter is the key.
that's what it is, and I didn't know that, and so now we have a guy. But, you know, there's stories like that where the supply chain kind of completely will throw us off because we'll wait on bottles for 4-6 extra weeks on top of when they're supposed to get delivered. We're like, we're to our last like couple boxes here. We really need these bottles in really fast. If they're not coming, we literally can't send any more product out.
Yeah, and that's where the redundancy comes into play.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, hey, it takes 3 to 4 months for our packaging to get to us.
Yep.
So, all right, I'm buying 4 months at a whack. And then next month I'm ordering a month's worth. And so that every month now I get an order coming in that is my cadence. But
Yeah.
you got to bite that apple the first time.
Yeah.
Right? You got to take that big chunk.
Do you use glass jars at all, or just Mylar right now? Mylar is so much lighter, obviously. The freight is
lighter. We use plastic jars for our aids.
okay.
So they're cheaper. We can get them labeled easier.
Right.
You go to glass and you put 50 of them in a case. It weighs 15 pounds.
I know, it's a lot. It's so heavy.
lot of
Our
weight.
bottles are so heavy. The freight on this is as much as the bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other part is that's where they make their money is on the freight. So
Yeah.
if you control that and have a shipper over there that handles that for you, you can save 20, 30%.
Yeah, we might have to talk offline about that.
That's the part is trying to figure out how to do that.
Right.
You didn't know it. I didn't know it. But if we can share experiences, that's that 1 + 1 = 3. That's how we become better. Is, hey, who are you using to get this? All right, I'm using this. What if we put both our orders together and go to both that same guy, your guy and my guy, and see who gives us the best price?
Right.
And that's how you leverage that purchasing power.
Yeah. Because I feel like at the end of the day, the bottles are made by literally the same guy. There's like one dude in a factory spitting all these bottles out, and there's 700 other people who are trying to sell it to me.
Yep. If you go, Alibaba, you look on there, there's 15 pictures.
It's the same picture, too.
Yeah, of your depositor, maybe for
Yeah,
making gummies.
right.
You're like, okay, which one am I talking to? So I call Jessica, our girl, and go, hey, this is what I'm looking for. She's like, all right, these guys are good. These guys.
Oh, they'll know.
The factory.
Yeah.
And she knows everybody at the factory.
Yeah. I heard that's the way to do it. So I talked to other people in CPG and they're like, you kind of have to go to the factory.
You do.
You got to go to mainland China and figure it out.
Part of it now, it's a whole other avenue that I've kind of sucked my life into is packaging. And I'm like, this is so interesting because there's so many middlemen in that scenario.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, it's only 50 cents. I'm buying 1 million of them a year.
That's a lot.
Money.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's the thing is, then you get the people, there's middlemen in China, and there's also middlemen in the U.S. who are like, it's U.S. made, and you're like, well, why do? And you can track. And I think I was speaking to John Nathan about this on the podcast. He was saying you can actually track the boats coming over, and you know if they're coming over. So if your products are on that boat, you can actually track it to a certain extent.
Actually, it's GPS. All boats are GPS driven, so you can actually see where your boat is, where your packages are, when pulled into port, when it'll be in the next one, where it is. Like I saw our packaging was sitting up the coast of New York City, waiting to get a slot to pull in and unload.
Right, ports.
So you could see that. Like I had to deal with this when I was doing my data center business, so I had a little experience. Equipment from the U.S. and Europe. Like I had test equipment I shipped, and I bought these containers to put them in sea container, and we got to New Jersey, or they picked it up in Springfield, Illinois, and it was supposed to go to Newark, New Jersey, to go on a plane and fly it, and the containers, we found out that it wasn't going to get there. They went by boat, so we pivoted and flew them.
Yeah.
And the containers went on the boat. Well, my containers got on the boat and went to Brazil, and then from Brazil to Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and they got there 3 months after where the original date was supposed to be there. I called my Brazilian twins because they had like tree sap on. They went to Brazil and came back, and like, I was watching them on the boat. I'm like, oh yeah, there they go.
Were they filled or half filled? They're empty. They were just two empty containers.
They were just because once it got to mainly in Europe, I then put them in the containers. They picked the container up, dropped it in Ireland. Then they'd move it to Germany, and then wherever else we went. With them, like Spain.
Oof, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it was a means to, and it was branded like with our name on them and everything. So it was
they had crap all over it.
My first branding experience, kind of.
That's hilarious.
But again, that's kind of where you start learning these things. And I think from an entrepreneur standpoint, like yourself, where it's like, hey, we're starting a business. That's what you kind of, hey, I'm learning. You're constantly learning something new.
Every day.
And it's like, you can't be afraid to learn it. But I think, like you talking about how you jump in on the new equipment, that's better for a management team to know how it operates. So when they tell you it's going to take this long, you're like, yeah, I know. Like I know we can make 5,000 pre-rolls in a day on our machine, on our roll runs, but if the moisture is not right, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
they send
good
us
point.
dry flour, we can't roll it.
Right.
So now it's gotten to the point where people send us trim, like I can't roll it. Don't send it.
Yeah, don't send it.
Work.
Yeah.
The trim pre-roll stuff, and it's like flour needs to be somewhere between 10 to 12%. To run in our pre-rolls to give it, we call them cannons. They're the cigarette style, right?
Okay.
Whereas when you do like a regular cone style, it's 6 to 8%.
Right. So it could be drier.
It's got to be drier for the vibratory machine to work to pack it.
Exactly. Otherwise it'll clump or whatever.
Or you'll get voids and it'll collapse.
Right.
Right. So if you think about the Roll Pros machine, it's like the old zigzag roller.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, but it makes a big long one that they just cut in the middle.
Oh, is that how it's done?
So
okay.
Do it once.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Cut it right in the middle with their, with the saw blade.
Right.
But like the best thing that happened to us is the machine showed up broken. It had a piston that failed, like after using it like a couple of days. And what happened is that piston was slamming it up, loosening all these nuts and bolts, and thing was falling apart left and right. We couldn't make 1,000 pre-rolls a day. I would actually make 1,000 bad ones before I make 1,000 good ones. And it was just learning the equipment, and our team, because we were there, we started taking it apart, putting it together. Guess what? They know how to run it.
Yeah, I bet.
Now it's to the point, like before I left today, he got there at 8, and I left at 9. He'd already made a couple thousand, or I think it was 1,000 pre-rolls.
That's fantastic. They didn't send you like just a brand new one? They were like, hey, that's our bad?
No, and it was, we identified a bad piston. So then they sent us a new one. We're like, oh, this is how it's supposed to work.
So they sent you the piss and like, good luck.
No. They were very supportive.
No, just throwing them under the bus a little bit.
No.
I get their ads sometimes.
And sometimes that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
But that's where like when Perpetual bought a machine and they were having problems running it, I sent my guy down there to help them teach their team to run it. So that they were doing like 2,000 a day. Now they're up to 5,000, 6,000. You know, and to me, that's the 1 + 1 = 3, right? Hey, how do we help each other out? I got a machine like this. Here, let me help you run it.
Well, Perpetual now is one of the biggest flower brands.
Yeah, one of the biggest flower
Yeah,
brands. We
in
sell
Mass.
a lot of their product at our store.
Yeah.
You know, and it's great because we're leveraging each other's experiences to learn from what we do.
Yeah. I really like that. As we start to wrap here, like, are there any, like, where do you want to leave this? Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about where to find your products or anything like that? Or like where to find CNA in general?
Yeah, I mean, we're in Haverhill and Amesbury. I mean, that's the easiest place to find our stores. We're in about 80 different stores across the
Wholesale?
state. Yeah,
Nice.
Wholesale standpoint. You know, and I just, one of the big things that I want everyone to know about us is that if you're trying to figure out how to do something, ask us. Because if I've done it, I'll share you that experience. People want to do deli style. I give them the SOP. I show them. I have them come up to our store. We'll train their staff. All I ask is that you put some of our flour on the can.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
South Shore Buds, we gave them our procedure. We're working with Coastal Healing to give us our procedure. You know, anyone that's out there that has a retail store that wants to learn how to do deli style, do it. And I'm telling you why is because you create the experience. It also gives you a little bit of 280E tax write-off.
Oh, it does, because
You're considered manufacturing.
you're manufacturing now. Yeah.
So there's a little bit, and depending on where you sort the flour, you can write off that square footage and then that percentage of utilities and all that stuff that kind of plays in. Again, the little bit of lessons learned. You know, if you think about CNA, it's more for our partners, right? It's like, hey, how do we win together? You know, because yeah, we're all competitors in the market to some degree if we make something similar. But like you make a tincture where we make gummies. I'm not doing tinctures, but that doesn't mean I can't put your tinctures in my store and that I can't help you succeed. Because if that sells in my store, we're both succeeding.
We're both winning, right?
And that's the concept of this, is that being open with everybody and saying, hey, I'm getting a delivery guy that's awesome and it's $150 a delivery. I told everybody I knew because everything from that point is like $500.
Right, exactly.
You know, and it's like Triple M and Blossom, great people to work with.
Right.
You know, and I work with both of them.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, how do we work together better? And that's kind of where, like, our mantra is how do we succeed, right? Because this industry is getting hard, and it's just even harder when you got people trying to knock people down, right? But liquor stores are dime a dozen every quick, right? Cannabis shops are the same way right now. People aren't driving to places. They're looking at how do we get people in our stores? How do we consistently get them in, right? You know, like I said, Haverhill, I've got 3 other stores. Road Trip is Root and Bloom. We were the first wholesale purchase for Root and Bloom. We helped them get into stores. You know, and it's like I partner with all my neighbors. You know, and yeah, we're direct competitors, and it's a healthy competition. But at the end of the day, we're all going to succeed if we really approach it the right way and help each other succeed. You know, and to me that's, you know, if you're talking about CNA, it's all about partnerships, and that goes from wholesale with other vendors to retail stores. How do I help you succeed? How do I drive business into your store? To even little things such as, hey, I can make pre-rolls for you, and it's cheaper than you can make, and I keep my machine running. You know, to me, if I've got a piece of equipment that's not running 8 hours a day, then it's not doing its job.
Yeah, it's fair.
So, like, we even look at doing second and third shifts on some things because of the volume. You know, and it's sometimes we understand, even with ourselves, it's speed to market, right? Just-in-time manufacturing. You don't want to make it and let it sit on the shelf because that's costing you money. You want to make it, move it, sell it, and just keep
That cycle going, right? Just in time. Yep, that's something we say here.
Do, even on the packaging front. I have a warehouse. I need to utilize my space. Help me use it, right? I'll store your Rodan blocks there. I'll store whatever you need there. Like Ocean Breeze is sending over all their packaging because wherever they have it right now. I think it's AE Global is charging them to store it there.
Yep.
Like, look, I know you guys are in a tough spot. Put it in here. I won't charge you anything. I'm not using it. Go for it. Here, and then when you're ready to move it, you just have your people move it out. I got better deals on equipment from them because of that.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Exactly.
That's the part of it is if you really want to know about CNA, it's how do we win together, right? To me, that's how you leave it, is that if you need help, if you're trying to figure something out, if we can help, we absolutely will. If I can't, I'll try and find somebody who can. Once you create that bench of network together where you can call some, hey, I got this guy's got a problem, like a 253, Seth over in 253, really good friend. I call him up, I got clogging problems with the emitters here, try this, do this. He actually got me hooked on the roll coach. We were selling him stuff so he could run it through his machine.
Right.
And I'm like, this is awesome.
Right. Let's get one of those. Yeah.
And it's like, all right, how do I pivot and do that? And it's just working together from that standpoint of what makes sense.
Yeah. Partnerships. We can all, beyond just survive, hopefully thrive.
And that's the part of this, is that there's still a lot of room for everybody to succeed in this industry.
I definitely agree with that as well.
It's just hard.
Yeah. It's hard right now, and healthy competition, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it doesn't have to be brutal competition.
Right. It's just healthy competition. Exactly.
It's not bloody.
Let's try to stay away from the bloody competition, of course. No need to knock anybody else down, 100%. We never talk against any of our competitors. We've heard stories of them talking against us, but we don't throw shade on any of our competitors. We're just like, hey, it's an open market.
We don't work with people that do.
Yeah.
And if they come to us and start talking about people that are something bad about someone, I'm like, well, what are you going to say about me when you leave?
Exactly.
And I'm like, and number one, in sales, you never talk bad about your customer.
No, absolutely. It looks so bad. It just reflects so poorly on the organization if you do that.
And you don't need to do that to succeed.
You don't.
I've always said business is about relationships and fostering those relationships. You may not get the best deal from somebody, but they're going to be there when you need them.
Mm-hmm.
You use them.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, why am I doing that? Because I have that relationship to where I can call like Austin at Triple M and say, hey, bud, I'm driving out with my wife. I got about 80 packages in my van. Are you going to be there until 8:30, 9 o'clock tonight? He's like, yeah, we'll wait for you.
Austin.
And to me, that's
shout out to Austin.
Me, to where it's like, we got someone else. Hey, I got to get rid of this trim. All right, I'll buy it. I'll make extract with it. We'll do a split. And to me, a split isn't 50-50. It's, hey, how much does it cost you? How much does it cost me? What can we sell it for? This is what we split.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, different perspective on it than what I've heard in the past. All right, fantastic. I appreciate your time so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. A lot of fun.